Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's January in Boston, which means it's freezing and it's actually been snowing. So I thought today would be one of the best days to reflect on my childhood and what inspired me eventually to consider monastic life and to live in a monastery and then later a hermitage. So I am a contemplative, which means that I like to be alone in general. I definitely draw most of my energy from books, from writing, from reading, from being out in nature by myself. And with that, I think comes a certain personality trait of not only wanting to be alone, but also being calm and being at peace when you're alone. So as a child, I loved to roam through the woods of Pennsylvania where I grew up. I grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and right near my house, almost across the street, was this big farm with cornfields. I remember as a little girl running through the cornfields, running through the forests, picking up nature and bringing it back to my house. I would often bring back like frogs and turtles from the creek and bring it to my parents' house. Actually, some of them we were allowed to keep, but I did that by myself. I loved to be in nature, and I was really at peace when I was in nature. I also would often go upstairs to my room when my siblings were downstairs watching TV. And upstairs, I would be reading, I would be praying. On Sundays, I read the Bible to my stuffed animals, which I actually lined up on my bed and read to them because my parents didn't go to church on a regular basis. My mother's Catholic, but my father is Protestant and he's not really practicing. I loved to draw. I was actually very, very avid at drawing and painting as a child. I was writing poetry and music from a young age. So I was a precocious child, and most of the things I liked to do were alone. And then with that comes my desire to be with God. And to be frank, I don't really know where this came from. As I said, I don't come from a very religious or spiritual family. No one in my family is in religious life. No one is really a strong practicing Catholic or strong in any religious or faith tradition. But from a young age, I always felt this deep connection with God. And that was cultivated and made stronger when I was in nature, when I was reading. I would often wake up early in the morning around 4 a.m. simply to read the Bible, to pray on my own. I taught myself how to meditate by reading books on Buddhism and the Dalai Lama, and I would write in the morning. So the morning in the darkness and in the stillness was my time to be alone with God. And I felt so much at peace in those moments. And throughout my teenage years, this continued. It continued to get stronger and stronger. I went to a Catholic high school and I went on my first retreat. It was a Kairos social retreat with other students. And I remember just feeling like it was too social. There was just too much activity. I wanted to be alone with God by myself. So it was after that experience that I decided to go on silent retreats by myself. And I think I was around 17 or 18 when I started doing that. So I've always had a strong connection to God. Again, I'm not sure where this comes from. There was no strong influence in my family, in my upbringing. I didn't go to religious school my whole life. I just went to Catholic school my senior year. But I loved CCD. I loved Sunday school classes. And I remember a lot of what our teacher taught us. I loved to go to church and see the altar and see Christ up there on the cross. I was drawn to the music. I've mentioned this before, but I come from a music background. I sang a little bit of classical music when I was younger. So everything about the Catholic Church just inspired me so much. And it was to the point in my senior year of high school where I actually asked one of the nuns if I could job shadow her because I thought I was called to religious life. Unfortunately, she told me go to college and figure it out after college, which I ended up doing. But this story, I think, just indicates that contemplative hearts are born. I don't think that a contemplative can be made. I think that it's something that one always is, and we're always drawn to that. It's deeper than the romantic heart because it aligns directly with the divine. And everything I've done in my life since I was a little girl, most of the decisions I've made have been to bring myself closer to God, including those times when I lived in South Africa working with HIV and AIDS, when I was working in orphanages in Honduras, when I was building houses for Habitat for Humanity. I was doing everything because I understood the suffering of the people around me, and my heart just longed to experience God within these people. And within those people, I felt God and God's presence. But that was always a derivative and a result of the inner relationship with God that I have always felt from a very young age. So that is ultimately what inspired me in my early to mid 20s to research monastic communities and to eventually live in a hermitage. If you're curious about those experiences, I recommend watching my previous videos. I have two videos, one about my time with the Trappists and one about my time living in a hermitage that I encourage you to watch. As always, please put comments or questions in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to hear any questions that you may have for me because it can help me to focus my future videos for you. The moral of this story is contemplatives are born, not made, and no matter what I'm doing in life, God has always been with me. He's always what I think about. He's there when I sleep. He's there when I'm awake. I'm always resting within the peace of God to the point where I don't feel like I need to proclaim God all the time. I don't need to encourage other people to believe in God. It's enough for me that God is within me and that hopefully I can continue to cultivate God more in my life and bring the peace that I've experienced and the happiness and contentment that I've experienced simply through my presence in the world. I look forward to connecting with you down below in the comment section, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.